No! Master! Master, what happened?
He said his deck was a 7, but he had a turn 2-time Sifter.
Wait, but that's not even a good card. You can't guarantee the top card. I mean, right?
You still have much to learn.
Looks like his memories still haven't come back. What should we do next?
What's up, Planeswalkers? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome back to the Moot channel, the only place to find the ultimate deck list. Today, our viewer choice commander is Henzie Toolbox Torre, a 3-mana JUND 3/3 Devil Rogue who says, each creature you cast with mana value 4 or greater has Blitz. The Blitz cost is equal to its mana cost. Sounds good, but there's even more, because Blitz costs 1 less for each time you cast your commander from the command zone. So now all our creatures cost less, they have haste, and they even die on our end step. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Planeswalkers. This card can do some degenerate stuff. Now there's a lot of ways to build this deck, but today I decided on a JUND Reanimator deck list, which I think is where this card wants to be. Oh, I already uploaded a Reanimator deck this week? So our strategy is to blitz creatures that get value from ETB or death, or attack triggers, then reanimate one or all of those creatures at once to win the game. If you're new here, I do request, so if you have a commander you want covered, leave a comment or join our channel Discord. Starting off with the creatures, we have some Manadorks in Delighted Halfling. It makes our commander uncounterable as well, which is really good for 1-mana Manadorks. Ignoble Hierarch taps for JUND, and the Exalted is nice to have. Llanowar Elves, which taps for a green. Dockside Extortionist is a staple in the commander format, and it makes a lot of treasures, and it can go infinite with another card we're playing. Also, this card is never a bad reanimation target. Grim Horror Spec, so we can draw an additional card off the creatures we blitz, or any of our non-tokens that die for that matter. Atsushi, the Blazing Sky, is a card we love to blitz, and when it dies we get to ramp with treasures, or we get some card advantage by exiling the top 3 cards of our library. Blossoming Tortoise fills the graveyard for our reanimation spells and can ramp us, plus with both a ETB and attack trigger it works really well with our commander. Bloody Launderer is a card we don't necessarily want to blitz, although we can. The card connives when we lose non-token creatures, and reanimates on death based on its power, so if we give it time to grow it gets better. Disciple of Bolas can draw us a lot of cards off a blitz creature, because remember, we have until the end step to sacrifice that creature. Primeval Herald is a ramp piece that has an ETB and an attack trigger. Additionally, it is 4 mana, so we can blitz it with our commander. Ravenous Chupacabra for some creature removal that can be blitzed and reanimated. Sad Robot for the ramp and double cards if we blitz it. Tamer Sabertooth can combo with Dockside Extortionist if our opponents have enough artifacts and enchantments, and with how many creatures we have with ETBs, this card is just useful on its own. Timeless Witness to get important cards out of our graveyard twice. Archpriest of Shadows is a reanimator creature that just needs to deal damage to an opponent. Luckily for us, we can blitz it, and it has the backup ability, and basically we can give its ability to another creature as well. Junji, the Midnight Sky, is a card we don't mind dying, so we can reanimate another creature from any graveyard. O'Hare Caslam, Deepest Growth, similarly to the Kamigawa Dragons, doesn't mind dying because it flips into a land, and if we blitz this card and we connect, we get to get another creature on the battlefield, which is always cool. Ancient Copper Dragon has a nasty attack trigger, so naturally we can blitz it for a lot of value. We'll make a whole bunch of treasures, we just need to roll high. Flayer of the Hatebound comes with Undying, which is useful, but we're really here for his second ability, which deals damage when we reanimate creatures out of our graveyard. Green Warden of Marusa lets us return cards from our graveyard to our hand twice, once on ETB, once on death. Hopefully at this point you understand that our commander can make that happen. Kokola, the Titanate for the Fight ETB, and of course when it swings we can destroy annoying enchantments or artifacts. Kokorosh, the Evening Star, has a good death trigger for some life gain if we need it. Zeatora, the Incinerator, is another card that you might want to wait on blitzing, as with this card out we can sack our blitz creatures to get damage based on their power to any target and make 3 treasures. Ancient Brass Dragon is a reanimator creature that does so on swing, just make sure you roll high again. Tali Primal Conqueror has one of the most broken ETBs in the game, as we can steal spells from our opponents and we also get our own spell. And if we have 9 mana, we can transform this card into a dollar store Blightsteel Colossus. Giant Autophage is a sweet Timmy include that really wants to be blitzed, because once it gets some damage in, we get a copy of it. Who doesn't love a 7/7 spider army that comes with trample? Protein Hulk. Don't worry though, we are playing this card pretty fairly, but if you want to upgrade this deck, then definitely add Food Chain or Birthing Pod. It's an easy include. Anyways, we can blitz Protein Hulk to get its tutor effect, which we can go grab Dockside and Temur Sabertooth if we want some infinite mana. Shieldred Whispering One is an easy include. It's an edict on our opponents and a reanimation spell on our turn. Stalking Vengeance to get damage off our blitz creatures dying. Titan of Industry because this card offers a lot of utility, even the shield counter can be useful. Tree Shaker Chimera can clear out a problem creature as they'll be forced to block with it, and when it dies, if we blitz it, we get to draw 4 cards. Archon of Cruelty has a very nasty ETB and attack trigger that we can easily put the hurt on one of our unlucky opponents. Bringer of the Last Gift because it's a Walmart Living Death that comes with a 6/6 flyer. Galta Stampede Tyrant to reanimate hopefully so we can cheat out a bunch of creatures. Woodfall Primus for removal, and it has Persist, so blitzing it gives us more value. Finally, Cavern Horde Dragon. I've never seen this card paid for its full cost, so don't let that scare you. It makes treasures based on the amount of artifacts the person you swung at controls. For the spells, we have Burnt Offering to sack a blitz creature to get some black or red mana based on its CMC, Faithless Looting to drop off the big lads in the graveyard and replace them with more playable cards, Malakir Rebirth, which is a land when we need it, and on its spell side we can get a blitz creature back after we sacrifice it on our end step. Reanimate to do as the name implies. Assassin's Trophy is our premium removal spell, so use it sparingly. Farseek for the ramp, Nature's Lore for the same thing. Stitch Together, which should only be played when we have Threshold, and that shouldn't be a hard ask for this deck. Tear Sunder is a great removal spell as it can exile any non-land permanent for 4 mana, and if it's an enchantment artifact, it will only cost us 2 mana. Victimize is a great way to send off a blitz creature for 2 fresh ones straight from the graveyard. Calling Ritual to put the Joyer player in a state of shock and give us enough mana to play Draco 3 times if we want. This is a meta read card, so if you find that your table doesn't have a lot of low cost permanents, then change this card out for something better, like actual Draco. Just kidding, don't ever play that card. Dread Return is a 4 mana reanimate spell that has flashback cost that isn't totally out of the realm of possibility for us to pay. Rise of the Lich King is a edict effect for the whole table, but if we sack the creature, then we get a permanent out of the deal. Incarnation Technique is another reanimation spell, but this time we can copy it if we let our opponent get a copy of it, which, in my games at least, that's not a bad deal. Now, if you're playing against something like Izoni Thousand Eyes, then maybe don't use the Demonstrate ability. Living Death, the classic reanimator board wipe, makes itself at home in this deck, and with most of our creatures dying to the Blitz trigger, we really won't have much of a board, and so board wiping it and then returning creatures from the graveyard is just really good for us. Breach the Multiverse is a massive game finisher as we get 4 creatures or planeswalkers from graveyards to try and close the game out with. Last March of the Ends for a big dumb green spell that can win us the game really fast, or at the very least draw us a bunch of cards. To round things out, we have Blasphemous Act as a cheap board wipe. Moving on to our artifacts and enchantments, we have Brass's Tunnel Grinder to dump off all the bad cards and get some fresh ones, and we shouldn't have any issues flipping this card into a land that lets us discover based on the CMC of the card it's helping to cast. Fable the Mirrorbreaker does it all. We get a ramp creature, we get card draw that fills our graveyard, and we get a non-legendary creature copier. Journey to Eternity is easy to flip when you know your creature is going to die on the end step, and the land side of this card lets us reanimate. Doors of Doran is perfect in a deck that plays a lot of creatures with lots of ETBs, and we even have a few elves to give that creature some hexproof. Phyrexian Arena to draw even more cards. Riveteer's Ascendancy to get some more value off the Blitz creatures as we can return smaller creatures to the battlefield, creatures like Dockside Extortionist. The Skullspore Nexus gives us quick lethals with its power doubler, but its static ability that generates tokens off our sacrifice is really why we're playing this card. Industrial Advancement lets us use our Blitz creatures to find more creatures off the top of our library. I mean, we're going to sacrifice them anyways, so we might as well let their death be for something. Sneak Attack does what our commander does, just way cheaper and without the card on death. But 1 mana cheat out Galta is too good to pass up on. For the Manabase, listen to your wallet, but if you'd like to copy a Manabase, then help yourself to the one in the deck list found in the description of this video. My land recommendation for this deck is Phyrexian Tower, as it gives us more value off our Blitz creatures, and its Exile Protection, which I think a lot of players overlook. That's going to be it for today's video. No combo section today, but don't worry, I'll have one for you next week. Also, regular intros will start next week as well. Let me know how I did, or tell me about your favorite JUND commander in the comments below. Subscribe or join to let me sleep at night, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.